known by its map designation as Area 51.
We're now learning Area 51,
known as Area 51.
Thank you for
Near
clearing
Area
that up.
51.
Thank you.
Known as Area 51.
Because Area 51 is very important.
They called him Jimmy, and everybody wanted to be his friend.
What's good? What's good? Welcome here to Area 51 here with your host, Jimmy James. Subscribe here. And here in Golden Era, you're going to find really good content. Generally speaking, we do stuff in Spanish, but, you know, we also do stuff in English. And I want to make sure we get a community of people also who, you know, like old school boxing, that speak English, that joins the cause of Golden Era, which is basically that we don't care about undefeated records. We don't care about A side, B side. I mean, that's just irrelevant to us. We just want to see this fighters fight, and we don't care. We're not going to diminish the fighter that loses as long as he's fighting the best, or at least the most dangerous opponent. And there can only be one best, which is the undisputed champion. So if they both fight, somebody's going to lose. That's just normal, and everything just falls from there. So that's what we follow here in Golden Era. So if you like what you hear, subscribe. Also, give us a like and share our content. All right, so let's dig in. Let's dine in on this. All right, so apparently, Caleb Plant sent an Instagram that said that he made the fight with David Benavidez possible, and that both sides had agreed and signed the contract. David Benavidez said that he wants this fight with Caleb Plant, and that he already also signed the contract, and then this fight is next. So apparently we are going to have a fight, and the day people are speculating, or at least the month, is going to be March, and some people are saying the 11th, some people are saying the 9th. I don't know. They say it's going to be March, but when you look at BoxRec, it's still not signed, so I'm not sure yet. I don't trust many of these fighters because a lot of times, you know, it just seems like they're going to fight. We had the situation with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence somewhere or another. They were going to make this fight also happen. Everybody agreed, and the fight wasn't made. We had the situation with Ryan Garcia and also Gervonta Davis, where they were supposed to sign the contract or whatever happened, and the fight just didn't materialize. So this shit happens. This is very obvious in boxing that is really hurting the sport. But hey, you like the fighters who are the A side and B side, that's what you're going to get, because at the end of the day, many of these fighters don't want to lose their undefeated record, and they're terrified of doing so because they know that if the undefeated record vanishes, they're going to vanish with their undefeated record. And that's sad, but it is the way that most people, or boxing fans of this generation, think, not the ones from the 90s and other ones who we saw good boxing. All right, so we'll see if it happens, but you know, this is an interesting fight. This wasn't necessarily the fight that I wanted to see. I personally believe that David Benavidez versus Dave Morrell Jr. is the most dangerous fight in that division. In fact, I think that those two fighters will be avoided. But in this case, it seems like Dave Morrell, which I also interviewed in one of my podcasts here in Golden Era, and I also interviewed David Benavidez. It seems like he wanted the fight, but now he's backing up, and he's not even responding to my messages because I'm trying to see if he wanted to fight David, and it seems like David wants to fight. So, but to me, those are the two opponents that need to fight. They're almost their stature is about the same. They are boxers who are, you know, big, and they will move on to different divisions as they move forward in their careers, and that would just be an excellent fight. Even David Benavidez said that Berlanga was number 3, Caleb Plant was number 2, and then finally Dave Morrell was number 1. So he even said in an interview with me that he believed Dave Morrell Jr. is the most dangerous fighter, and I agree. So that's the fight that I want to see. After that fight, I wanted to see Demetrius Andrade against David Benavidez, but that fight might not take place because Demetrius Andrade right now had the situation with Queensberry Promotions where they lowballed him. He was going to fight this kid Parker, but unfortunately, you know, they changed the purse, and they lowballed him, and now he doesn't want to fight him. He should be fighting in England, but he said, no, I'm not taking that fight for that price, because I think that's ridiculous. And they did offer him 1.8 million, and then I think they offered him something ridiculous like $300,000 or something like that, which was, I mean, you can't just move on out of your price and then just lower it just when you want to, just because you feel like Dimitri Sandor might not have a promoter now to represent him. So I think that was messed up. But anyway, now we have this other situation where obviously Jamal Charlo, he said he was going to fight David Benavidez. So, Jamal, he's a joker. The guy, he was scared of everybody. The only fighter he wants to fight is pretty much Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, but he was basically scared of Dimitri Sandor no matter what. Nobody says, I know everything that happened, so I don't need your preaching. I already know what's up, okay? If you don't know what's up, then, you should call the David Benavidez family and find out a little bit more about for yourself. I mean, not David Benavidez, but, Andrade's case. So it's a good fight. Caleb Plant is a good fight, but this fight should have happened before, when David Benavidez had the WBC and Caleb Plant had the IBF title. I think that's when the fight should have materialized, but Caleb Plant did not want the fight, okay? And when Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith were in the same division, they didn't want David Benavidez either. And in fact, they didn't even want to fight each other. So David Benavidez, in my opinion, has been the most dangerous opponent and the most avoided one for a reason. And I had an interview with Samson, who is the promoter of David Benavidez, and they did mention that they wanted a fight with Caleb Plant. But Caleb said that he did not want to fight in December, which already raised all alarms. Everybody's thinking, okay, Caleb is going to duck. But apparently now he's going to fight him in March. So it's about time that somebody fights David, because at this point in time, somebody needs to fight him. And I believe that a lot of things are going to be exposed in this fight. Now, Caleb Plant, in my opinion, his best triumph was against Jose Uzcategui. He went for the IBF title and beat Uzcategui in a good way. But then after that, he had really weird fights that didn't make any sense. He fought Mike Lee, a guy who was into business and boxing at the same time. So he wasn't full-time boxer. He fought Vincent Freights Butts or something like some name, weird-ass name like that. And, that wasn't a good name. And then he fought Caleb Truax, which, I mean, Caleb Truax is just, I mean, he's like a Jurioki's Gamboa. He's one of those kind of fighters, Gabriel Rosado, where you just fight him, basically because it's a passage for the next fight. But that was nothing impressive. And then he fought Canelo Alvarez. And then the fight with Canelo Alvarez, he was doing good, but I feel like his stamina went down, so that didn't help him. And that's when he lost the fight. And he should have kept popping the jab and just, using his clinch and whatever, but, he didn't. But anyway, he lost against Canelo Alvarez. And now, just recently, he fought Anthony Dirrell. And, that was a shitty fight, too, because Anthony Dirrell also fought, what's his name, David Benavidez, too. And, he's he's definitely, a ghost in that division. And now he's fighting David Benavidez. And I think this is when Caleb Plant's career is going to end. Now, of course, a lot of people say, well, Jimmy, you're telling me that David Benavidez is going to beat Caleb Plant? Like, that's crazy. Like, you saw what happened with Ronald Gabriel. I mean, I know Ronald. He was in the Mayweather gym. In the first fight, he put him in the ground. That is true. He did put him on the ground. But if you look at the second fight, David Benavidez just fucked them up, okay? And people learn from their fights, and they get better. That's how you get better. You learn from your fights. David Benavidez hasn't had the chance to really fight anybody in his division because nobody wants to fight it, and he's always been forward to fighting Canelo Alvarez, who ducked him, who decided to pick up the WBC championship, which it was given to him. The Athletic said that he requested the fight of Algie Gildrem, but they didn't force him to fight. He requested it. They were already going to give him the belt, so I don't know how he became undisputed champion. I think Canelo Alvarez, is pretty much a fraud of boxing. That's my opinion on his career, but it is what it is. But then it's interesting because Canelo doesn't want to fight David, and he's put any form of excuse. I mean, he's put more excuses about David Benavidez than he's ever done about any other fighter outside of Demetrius Andrade. And you can see he doesn't want to fight it. Now he's saying that he hasn't earned a shot, whatever. He needs to, I mean, Eddie Hearns was speaking out his neck saying that, right now they're not deserving of that fight because he needs to prove himself, or I don't know what bullshit, but if you want to believe that garbage, go ahead and serve yourself. That's what happens nowadays. People get brainwashed by, what other people say. So, okay. But now David Benavidez, I think, is going to show who he really is. And I think Caleb Plant, even though he does have a good form and he has a good technique, the style of boxer that he is, in my opinion, is just, there's something that he's missing. And it could be stamina. There's something that he is missing. He's a good fighter, and he uses that Black American style to fight, right? Which he crosses his arm and then he, uses his jab. But there's something that's missing there, and it could be power. It could be stamina. But I believe that David Benavidez is just going to be too much for this kid. And David Benavidez has got better. He's improved. And he has more experience than he did when he fought Ronald Gabriel. And the dude hits hard. This guy can take a punch and he can give a punch. And he used to spar heavyweights when he was chubbier. So I don't think he's going to be too intimidated by Caleb Plant and his power. And I think that the only way that Caleb Plant beats this Benavidez is if he has a flawless game. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Benavidez is everything wrong for Caleb Plant. I think his punching volume is really high. He has extension with his arms, which makes it more complicated because now if you're trying to shoot your jab, you got to actually step in all the time because his arm extension is larger. So now you got to step in. And then on top of that, the speed, man, is something else. So I think Caleb Plant is in a shitload of trouble in this fight. And I think this is going to catapult David Benavidez to the next level. I do have respect for Caleb Plant for finally taking this fight, but I just don't see, Caleb Plant beating David Benavidez. And I know that he has a lot of fans, a lot of black people support him because he has a black girlfriend or whatever. But to me, he's okay. I mean, he's not that great. He's never done anything. He's never beat anybody. Perhaps Jose Uzcategui. I mean, that was his best fight. But there's levels to this competition, and now he's really fighting an American fighter, elite fighter, who has power and who's going to want to exchange punches with him. And we've never seen Caleb Plant in that form. And I think, it's going to be a decent fight. I think it will be competitive for the first 6-7 rounds, 7. But after that, I think Caleb is going to suffer punch volume, and he's going to be in real trouble. And I believe that David Benavidez will use his jab. He'll use his reach. He'll use his body length to grab Caleb Plant and put, pressure on him. So slowly he keeps draining him. And I think that's what's going to happen. And then he's just going to finish him off. And this is probably going to end up in a TKO in favor of David Benavidez. David Benavidez is much larger than Canelo Alvarez. And if Canelo was able to do that coming from 154, I'm pretty sure that David Benavidez has more than enough dynamite to do that to Caleb Plant as well. So I think it's just a ticking bomb, this fight, and I think David Benavidez will be. But hey, who knows? It's boxing. Anybody could win. I mean, you could have a really good day. You could have a perfect day, and Caleb Plant could win. But very, very hard for Caleb Plant this fight. I just don't give him a lot of chances. I think it's a 60-40 at max. That's being super generous, but really I just think it's a 70-30. Now, of course, the question is going to be, once, David wins, will Canelo Alvarez fight him? And the answer is no. Canelo Alvarez will never fight David Benavidez because Canelo Alvarez is scared. And that's the truth. We're never going to see that fight. So you can forget about that fight. You can talk about other fights, but that fight will never happen because Canelo Alvarez don't want it. But if Caleb Plant were to beat David Benavidez, I am pretty sure that Canelo Alvarez would take that fight. So, that's what I think. And to be honest with you, I think that, I think David should move up. I think he should move up because eventually there's a lot of fighters, especially Canelo. He's going to leave his belt hostage. He's not going to want to give him an opportunity. He's going to probably fight some European bum or some fighter. He's definitely not fighting Dave Morrell Jr. He might try to look for Berlanga, who doesn't have a current title right now. So he's definitely not going to fight Demetrius Andrade. Oh, he'll try to fight a Zach Parker or somebody of that grade. He likes the British meat, the British pate. But he's not going to fight David Benavidez. So I think it's better for David to move up once he beats Caleb Plant, because it's just, why lose your time? You've been there for a long time and nobody wants to fight you. You have the same situation with Gary Russell Jr. and Demetrius Andrade, which people still have the guts to accuse of, even they're being avoided. I mean, it's just crazy how retarded many of the fans are. But when they avoid you, you just can't fight anybody. So I don't understand why people attack these fighters that are being avoided. But I believe David will be avoided. And I think his best bet is to move up to 175 and go ahead and make that, just wait for the unification if you want. Just wait for what happens between Dimitri Bivol and Sudo Ramirez. And maybe just wait till Beterbiev fights, the winner, and just try to go for undisputed. And I believe he'll fight Beterbiev, and Beterbiev will fight him. But other than that, I don't think Dave Benavidez has a lot of future left in 168. And I'm sorry because, it sucks because they don't want to fight him, but it is what it is. So anyway, that's my opinion. I expect Dave Benavidez to crush David Plant. And I just don't see Caleb Plant, doing much. And another thing, too, is that a lot of people tell me, well, Dave Benavidez, he leaves himself wide open and yada, yada, yada. And it's true. He does leave himself wide open in many angles. But he's experienced. He's an American fighter. He's already seen styles like Caleb Plant many times in sparring. So that's nothing new. There's nothing new in his barn. He's going to do what he's going to do. And like I said, it's just going to be a good payday. And I believe he'll go and try to knock this guy out. So anyway, that's how I'm going to leave it, bro. Give us here a like, subscribe. Also, check out our boxing page, goldeneraboxing.com. And then share our content as well. And like the natives say in New Mexico, Hagone. To the next one, and see you in a bit. Peace out.